been getting into sports betting. You've been taking more and more bets. You've been finding your spots. You've been making more money. Now there's a sport that's coming up. There's a big tournament. There's a game. There's a matchup that you might not know the most about, but you still want to get involved and bet it. VAR, checking right now for a penalty. I don't think you even know what that might mean. I'm watching the great Brazilian team. I'm watching Neymar. They're going for the championship here in the World Cup. And if you watch this video, I'm going to give you a tip that's going to help you make thousands of dollars from a sport that you might not necessarily watch or follow. Watch this video, like, comment, subscribe. Can't wait to see you make more money. Let's get it. Now, you see my USA shirt, right? It's the World Cup. The World Cup's been going on for a few weeks now. It's going to be going on all the way until the middle of December. And that's the largest soccer tournament in the world, all right? USA, soccer's not that big over here, but it is huge globally. Over 1 billion people are tapped into watching the World Cup. And you probably were like, well, I want to get in on the action, but you might not have ever bet soccer before. I get it. I've been there before. So you're probably wondering, how do I get involved in a sport when I don't necessarily know the most about it, but you still want to participate and make money from it? I want to be able to help you out with that today, okay? The first thing that I would tell you to do is actually just watch the sport and really watch the major tournaments. If you're not into soccer, the best time to watch soccer is the World Cup. Why? Because it's the largest tournament. It happens once every 4 years, and literally it's the best players in the world representing their own countries. So there's no better time to actually get involved in watching soccer than watching the best players in the world all come together at one time. Now, yeah, you can watch the MLS or you can watch the Premier League. There are other leagues that go on all throughout the year that you can pay attention to. But if you really don't know the sport, do you really want to watch a boring game or get a boring matchup?
Boring. Come on, you schnorrers. Do something.
That's typically what's going to happen in those smaller leagues like the Major League Soccer League here in the US. If you're really trying to tap into a sport where you're really not that familiar with it, it's best that you wait until a major tournament. So for me, if it's soccer, I'm waiting for the World Cup. If it's tennis, I'm really only watching the Grand Slam matchups. So the Australian Open, French Open, US Open, Wimbledon, like those are the matchups that I'm paying attention to. Maybe let's just say you want to get interested and you want to start betting golf, for an example. Then you want to maybe wait till the Masters. One's going to be paying attention to. There's going to be a lot of news coverage around it, and that way it's going to help you really kind of figure out who's the best teams, who are the best players, who's been hot, because there's a whole lot of research that's going to be available to you, and it's just going to be publicly out there. Everyone is talking about the USA matchup and how they made the round of 16. Everyone is talking about Ronaldo going for and trying to bring Portugal to the championship in the World Cup. Everyone is going to be talking about Tiger Woods and trying to get another green jacket at the Masters. Everyone is going to be talking about Rafael Nadal and Novak during the Wimbledon. Like, it's going to happen. So because you're not that familiar with the sport, it's best to wait till the major tournaments, because that's typically when the athletes are playing their best, and you also get the most media coverage, and then it'll also help you kind of be able to track it, pay attention to it, and also watch it because it's going to be on the major network. The next thing you want to do, if you caught it in what I just said, is after you pay attention to the major tournaments, really pay attention to the major stars. Like, who are the best players that are participating in this tournament? Who are the favorites? And those are the ones that you want to keep your eye on. Those are the ones that you want to track and follow. Because if you're trying to pay attention to soccer, there's nobody better to watch than Messi, Ronaldo, Kevin De Bruyne. Like, you want to watch the best players in the world at what they do, because that's going to help you enjoy it a little bit more. Nobody wants to watch an average athlete or who's barely getting by. Like, you want to watch the best teams and the best players, especially if you don't know anything about the game. So that's going to help you get familiar with the sport, watch some highlights on them, watch their teams, see how they play, and then that will help you, again, get more familiar with it. Now, while you're getting familiar with all these teams and you're paying attention to the tournaments, you're paying attention to the players, you want to be having that sports book pulled up. That doesn't mean you're taking a bet now. It just means that you want to be paying attention to how that sport is represented on the sports book. For an example, in soccer, right? They have the spread, but the spread's a little bit different than if it's a basketball spread or a football spread. They typically have two spreads, right? They have, like, let's just say Germany is playing Costa Rica and Germany is favored to win the game. The spread might be -2 at -2.5. So you literally have two spreads right there. So what they're going to do in soccer is typically split that bet in half. So let's just say you put $100, they're going to put $50 on the -2, and they're going to put the $50 on the -2.5. That's something that's unique to soccer. Now in baseball, they don't have a spread. They have a run line. Same thing with hockey. They have a puck line. So every game in baseball, it's either going to be -1.5 or +1.5. The team that's favored, it's going to be -1.5, and the team that's the underdog is going to be +1.5, and the odds will just fluctuate depending on the matchup. So for you, whatever sport you're betting, you really want to just pay attention to how that sport is unique inside the sports book. So this way you're not taking something that you just don't know that's going to backfire and hurt you. But the beautiful thing about betting across the board, the money line is the same. Doesn't matter what sport it is. It doesn't matter what you're going for. Money line is the money line. That just means who's going to win or who's going to lose. So when in doubt and you don't understand the spread, or you're not understanding the puck line, or the odds are just not in your favor, just go with the money line. Just choose who you think is going to win the game outright. And that will be the easiest way for you to get familiar. Now, if you're choosing a very heavy favorite, the money line might be really, really, really high odds. Like Nadal in the first round of the French Open is probably like a -1,000 odd. So you're probably like, why would I ever take that? Well, if this is another thing that you can do when you're first getting started with the sport you're not familiar with. If you like a bet and it's, let's say, money line, it's a super big favorite, you don't have to take it individually. Put it inside a parlay. Make it be an extra leg on a long shot. Or maybe you're doing a 3-4 legger and you just need an extra leg. Make it be in there, because it's pretty much probably going to be like a guaranteed pick. So for you, you don't have to take that bet individually. You can drop it in a parlay, maybe in a round robin, until you get familiar with the sport. That's the biggest thing. You got to be paying attention to the sport. You got to get familiar with the sport. Be familiar with how the line moves and how the sports book reacts to that sport. And it's going to help you become successful in that sport in the long run. The last thing that will help you out when you're betting a sport that you're not necessarily familiar with or you know the best about, do you think you know what I'm going to say next? Yeah, that's right. Tail a pick or two. Find a capper who's really good at that sport. There are people out here who are professional sports bettors, also known as handicappers, who like specific sports. They're golf handicappers. They're tennis handicappers. They're Australian basketball league handicappers. I was following this guy this past year who was killing it in Korean baseball and Japanese baseball. So you know what I did? I just took his bets and I just put a little bit of money on it. I wouldn't have put as much money on it as if it was my pick, I'll be honest, but I still put some money on it because he has a track record. He was hot. He was winning. And truthfully, I don't care, because the money's going to cash just the same. So for you, if you're not familiar with the sport, find somebody who is good at the sport and see what the picks that they like, and you can tail it or you can just track it. And then when you like something or you agree with it, put a bet in on it and just take a little bit. You don't have to go all in. You don't have to do full house. You don't even have to put as much on it as you would if it was your own pick. But a lot of people are afraid to tail picks, and they say like, oh, I came up with this pick on my own. All right, that's cool. Whoop-de-doo. Yeah, I'm glad you put in your own picks and you find your own winners, but there's nothing wrong with taking a winner from somebody else when they have a proven track record, when they're good at what they do, and they're putting out consistent winners. That's what I do. So when I find somebody who's good at a sport that I'm not necessarily good at, like again, Korean baseball, that was going on at 5 o'clock in the morning. So for me, I would make money betting at night, and the NBA, college basketball, I bet the 6 o'clock spot, the 7 o'clock spot, the 9:30 slot. I would go to sleep. I wake up early anyway. I'd sprinkle a little bit on one of my boy Tokyo Brandon's picks, and guess what? Now I'm making money at 5:30 in the morning while you're still sleeping, or while you're still wondering why you're not making that money. Don't delay. Don't wait. Literally just go and start watching the sport. And if you don't like the sport, you don't have to bet on it, but get familiar with certain tournaments, certain games, certain players, certain teams, certain sports, and I guarantee you can find a way to start betting them and being profitable with them. And then it will add to your tool belt and your repertoire when it comes to sports betting. If you only have one lane and one alley, then you'll only succumb to that sport. There's nothing wrong with that. There's some people who make all their money in one sport and they call it a day, they call it a year when that sport goes out of season. That's cool. But if you want to make money year round, then you're going going to have to be familiar with betting different sports because different sports are best at different seasons. And if you're not familiar with it, then it's best you follow somebody who is, and then also start tracking the games yourself and how the sports books also keep up with that sport. Well, guys, I hope that helps you out. I hope that helps somebody make some additional money. And as always, make sure you like, make sure you comment, tell me some of the sports that you're not familiar with that you start betting. And as always, join the free Telegram where I'm dropping free picks every single day. My goal is to drop a winner every day. Every day I'm dropping a pick. College basketball, NBA, NFL, college football, World Cup. Doesn't matter. I'm always trying to find some type of angle. I'm always trying to find some way to win. So because of that, you got to join a group of winners. So the Telegram link is below. Can't wait to see you. And as always, go USA. Hopefully this might be the year that we actually do something inside the World Cup. So I'm excited and let's get it. And let's make some money and dictate your fate today.